Hello, I am Heather Parker, Associate Curator, Academic Outreach.
And I am Danuta Sierhuis, Digital Development Coordinator at Agnes Etherington Art Center at Queen's University. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples and the original caretakers of the lands and waters across Turtle Island, or the so-called North America and the nations known as Canada, the United States, and Mexico, among others. While we are presenting at MCN virtually this year, we are physically located in Kingston on the shores of Lake Ontario, and we would like to acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples, and that they are the past, present, and future caretakers of this land.
We would also like to acknowledge that our presentation is taking place against the backdrop of the global COVID-19 pandemic, growing social and economic inequities, international furloughs, layoffs, and museum closures, and ongoing police violence against Black, Indigenous, and people of color in Canada and internationally. We have a lot of work to do in decolonizing our spaces, both physical and virtual, and in becoming actively anti-racist.
Today, we will be presenting our talk titled From Onsite, Online to Hybrid: The Impact of COVID-19 on the Art of Observation. This session is a case study discussing Agnes's digital readiness to strategically redirect activities to an increased demand for online programs with sustainability, accessibility, and longevity at the core of our decisions, and a case study of the pre, during, and post-COVID delivery of the academic program, The Art of Observation. And we will conclude with some of our plans for moving forward with online and gallery and hybrid programs. To give just a bit of background and to introduce the Agnes Etherington Art Center, we are a research-intensive art museum located on the campus of Queen's University in Kingston, Canada. We have a dual mandate to be an educational resource for students and faculty at the university, and to serve as a public art museum for the Kingston community and beyond. The Agnes has superb collections numbering over 17,000 artworks that feature a diverse range from contemporary art, Canadian historical art, Indigenous art and artifacts, and material culture, including the collection of Canadian dress and the Lang collection of African art. As for Heather and myself, we both started working at Agnes in December 2018, and we have been working hard to expand both the museum's capacity for both academic outreach and digital programs, respectively, over the past 2 years, bolstering academic partnerships such as the one with the Queen's Medical School, and digital infrastructures, including a new website that launched in January 2020, which also left us in a good place for the outset of the pandemic. When the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 crisis on the 11th of March earlier in the year, in consultation with Queen's and Kingston Frontenac Public Health, Agnes announced our closure to the public on the 15th of March to ensure public health and safety. This is a story familiar to us all at this point, and it posed many challenges, such as with the swift change to our operations and moving virtually with no access to our on-site physical location. How could we continue? What content did we have on hand? And what tools would we mobilize easily to continue? Everyone seemed to be asking, how could we do this and do this well? So we rushed to develop workarounds to continue both our academic and public programming. We quickly met as a staff and created an emergency digital strategy to guide our redirect to digital-only programming and to continue delivering upon our mandate and providing access to permanent collection, exhibitions, and various programs through digital means, and creating new digital resources to people at home. While most of the strategy focused on public programs, some of the elements focused on academic programming, including taking advantage of emerging platforms to stay connected with our audiences, to be a leader in our communities within the digital realm, and creatively engaging diverse audiences within our communities and beyond, imaginatively extending the intellectual and cultural value of significant art collections, and serving as a forum for learning, self-discovery, and respite during these times of world crisis. This strategy guided us over the near 5 months that we were forced to close and made us think creatively about our content and our programming. We first started out with the Agnes from Home campaign, which at first recycled our content from archives, or digital archives. And then this brought us time to enhance exhibition pages with thematic content, create videos and lesson plans to supplement at-home learning for school-age children and their families, and to develop partnerships like with the Field Trip Art Across Canada campaign to expand the reach of our digital engagement nationally. However, there were some programs where we just couldn't buy that kind of time and had to learn by doing, like embracing Zoom to ensure programs had continuity, like with the Art of Observation, an academic outreach program that Heather has been spearheading. The pandemic occurred just a few weeks before the end of the winter academic term at Queen's University, which meant that this program's on-site delivery was disrupted and that it had to swiftly adjust to the new virtual reality. I'll turn the floor over to Heather, who will now introduce the Art of Observation program and how it functioned pre-pandemic.
The Art of Observation is a partnership program that launched this year between Agnes Etherington Art Center and Queen's School of Medicine. Many medical schools in the US have been experimenting over the last 20 years with using art to teach the visual analysis skills that doctors use in so many medical disciplines like ophthalmology and dermatology. And recognizing the success of these programs, we decided to launch a similar program with both traditional approaches to teaching about art history, as well as innovative elements like art making and meditation, to experiment with different ways of learning. The School of Medicine is careful to use evidence-based approaches to teaching, which meant that we had this wonderful opportunity to be creative in our approach during a pilot run and to evaluate the effectiveness of the new program in partnership with their educational assessment team. Reading past studies, we saw that there was lots of evidence of the effectiveness of similar programs at other schools, and so we decided to investigate some gaps in the literature, including things like control groups and the dose of the program, while measuring the new ways of learning. We did consider having a control group, but the logistics were too difficult for the study because our research ethics board would have required us to offer the whole program to the control group after the end of the study. To measure for learning in individual lessons, we used pre-tests and post-tests for each visit, measuring the visual skills and empathy before and after each session, which allowed us to measure how many sessions were needed to reach the learning goals, the dose. During the lessons, the students learned visual analysis, empathy, team building, wellness, and cultural sensitivity. We ran the pilot program from February to April 2020, and it ran smoothly until March when the global pandemic was announced, and when Agnes was forced to go virtual following our closure. The first session introduced historical and contemporary figurative art and using visual thinking strategies to introduce students to new ways of seeing. Using this inquiry-based approach, we asked students to first describe and then analyze the works. Students could arrive at their own conclusions as they would in a clinical context, but they are also questioned on their process and the evidence. The second session was a life drawing class where the students learned how to sketch a nude model by creating and recreating what they saw in front of them. They learned about concepts like form and negative space, and this allowed the students to apply the theory they learned in the first lesson and to process lots of new kinds of information. At first, they looked only at the model and used their extensive knowledge of anatomy to help them draw accurately. As the lessons continued, they were forced to think about things like the background and the negative space and to reassess their first attempts. We hope this will translate into the students taking extra care when examining diagnostic images and looking at the whole picture. The third lesson focused on mindfulness and sculpture. The session began with a guided meditation and continued with a silent session using clay to form a sculpture representative of something that was hurting. Many sculpted hands or their feet. It was the end of a long day. And they had the chance to process those feelings while also thinking about how to recreate body parts in 3 dimensions. This helped them to think about diagnosis in a new way and also giving them an introduction to surgical skills where they will need to be able to repair and replicate existing structures. For the final session, I wanted to reintroduce complexity and context. So I decided to show the students medical-themed art and taught using Harvard's artful thinking techniques, where students reflect on their own learning process and question their assumptions. This approach gave much more context, and students learned about how the disciplines of art and medicine are linked in so many ways. By looking at the images of bodies and health issues, students could start to apply their learning about art to their knowledge about medicine. This was the only visit to be affected by the closure, and we quickly rescheduled to run the session on Zoom, which we can all agree is not an ideal way to teach these kind of things. I used a combination of Zoom with breakout groups, PowerPoint, and links to our online collection to teach the final session. Because we wanted to wrap up the sessions promptly, we decided to move forward with an approach that replicated the in-person structure of the lesson. Although the students all did an amazing job of giving their attention to the class, it was still hard to engage in a quick back and forth, especially without having the artworks in the room to reference. The surveys the students completed after the sessions universally talked about new insights, growth in their emotional skills, and a new appreciation of other cultures and contexts. Students felt like they would go into clinical placements with better observation skills, and we would love to do clinical skills tests with the students during our next year of the program to better measure these changes, but we may have to delay that component of the program evaluation due to COVID restrictions. And when the students wrote about the Zoom delivery of the 4th session, they all appreciated the necessity of online teaching in the context of an emergency, but also added that the in-person connection with the art and their ability to see the art up close is where most of their learning had happened. Our approach to teaching has always centered on the in-person experience and the value of seeing art up close. It's why we offer free admission. It's why we offer art and wellness programming to the public. And so the switch to online teaching left us feeling like our programs were still missing something. There's a deep connection that happens when students spend time with artworks that have real histories. Those of you who are curators or educators will have seen that sense of awe that happens when people stand in front of an artwork or an artifact and realize the number of places it's been, the people who have stood there before. On the other hand, we also know that there are excellent digital tools and online classes focusing on art history and art making. So when Agnes reopened to the public on Tuesday, the 7th of July, 2020, with health and safety precautions in place, such as mandatory mask wearing and limited capacity in the galleries, we decided to move forward with a mix of online and limited on-site programming. To continue the Art of Observation program, we decided to use a hybrid approach using digital tools as much as possible for the context and background, with small group visits to see the art in person. Queen's University is running almost all of its classes online for 2020-2021, but medicine is one of the programs that has continued in a hybrid format with lectures online and clinical skills taught in small groups. The Art of Observation program was going to resume this fall, but a COVID-related delay meant that it will run in the winter of 2021 instead. Even with the city of Kingston doing well in managing COVID, a second wave of the pandemic is currently underway in some cities in Ontario, and continued vigilance around health and safety precautions have created an air of uncertainty in terms of when and how normal operations will resume for some programs, including this one.
So since the delay in the delivery of the Art of Observation for the fall of 2020 into the semester in the winter, Heather and I have been speaking about how to utilize the digital tools we have available to us through our website and through Digital Agnes to build the digital online portion of the new hybrid program to complement the smaller on-site visits. So in our discussions for how to best support this program moving forwards, Heather and I found that the program would be best suited for the future use of our online exhibition template that is currently in development and it is expected to launch in November. Using this template, we would be able to provide multimodal ways of delivering the content to the medical students while serving the overarching goals of the pedagogical and curricular frameworks in play. And I'll just briefly go over the development of the online exhibition template that we are planning to roll out in the near future. And the development of this template has been taking advantage of some of the digital infrastructures that I have been laying in place over the last year with the build of our new website. All of which can be used within the online exhibition template and will prove useful in the hybrid delivery of the art of observation. So going back a little bit, with the launch of Agnes's new website earlier in the year, we created Digital Agnes, which is a digital space for programming that has also grouped our existing digital projects and where we will be making a concerted effort to create new digital board and programs and projects, such as online exhibitions and expanding our ability to publish digital publications, interactives, and other online features for both curatorial and academic use. As part of this development, we built in new flexible content modules and new templates. Our web platform is WordPress based, and working with the developer, we included new modules for displaying featured video and video playlists across the site. A new integrated search mechanism which allows us to combine our global website search with search results from our collections database. So this new functionality has also allowed us to create a module that allows us to embed permanent collections object lists into pages across the site as well, which has proved useful for enhancing exhibition pages with thematic content during the pandemic. And we also created and launched a new template for in-depth explorations of a single artwork or a collection highlight, which responded to a community desire for more information related to the permanent collection at Agnes. And the development of this template also created more opportunities for us to embed audio and audio playlists across the website as well, with the development of a new audio player, which kind of has a Spotify experience to it. Most of this work was completed prior to the pandemic, but it also really gathered steam and momentum once digital was all we had to work with for our programs. And these modules and templates have also allowed us to disperse digital programs throughout our website, which was very helpful during our closure. Agnes had also been planning to develop an online exhibition template with the expansion of Digital Agnes since 2019. And we have been working on this project since the spring, and which also coincided with the pandemic. So we took this time to learn from what we had been doing with our modules and from what other museums were doing with online exhibitions and what worked and what didn't work and how content was displayed and accessed. We wanted to create a platform that could serve multiple purposes for learning about and through art, and that could also be as customizable as possible given a templated format. So over the summer and early fall, we have been working with Studio Blackwall, a Toronto-based design studio, and their team to develop the new platform with use cases for both educational and curatorial purposes in mind. This slide shows the landing page of our new template, which we are hoping to launch in November. And the exhibition that is featured is actually going to be launching in January 2021, so look out for that. But this exhibition, Drift, Art, and Dark Matter, reflected an extension of a physical exhibition and an artist residency and partnerships with the Arthur B. McDonald Canadian Astroparticle Physics Research Institute and Snow Lab. And it also had a grander scope in terms of its content and features, which allowed us to expand our ways of thinking about what an online exhibition is and could be with regards to the types of content that could be included and for different purposes as well, in that kind of hybrid space between virtual and physical. And it featured a variety of media like audio, GIFs, video, and that sort of thing, and then also dynamic ways of displaying images, including modules for IIIF implementation and deep zoom annotations of images, and much more. But as we are recording this presentation, Agnes is currently developing more avenues for educational interventions for purely curatorial or didactic content within the online exhibition template in the form of quizzes and modules that prompt a moment of pause for other ways of learning and introspection that are more inquiry-based, which build off of what Heather has been doing with the Art of Observation and also with our art and wellness programs. Overall, the online exhibition template has been developed in such a way that we have access to over 10 different modules that can be mixed in different ways to suit different projects' content. And we are hoping to mobilize the functionality of this template to propel nursing and medical students for a deeper engagement with visual analysis, communication, and critical thinking skills that the on-site delivery of the program might have otherwise not had taken place. Heather has been in the process of creating videos for asynchronous learning, and we hope to pair these videos with activities, multimedia, and interactive tools built into the site to enhance the learning experience in ways that have more interaction and different ways of close looking that even in person cannot achieve. This emphasis will still, the emphasis of the hybrid program will still be on the works in our collection, but using the digital tools to see in new ways. For example, in the lessons of the Art of Observation, the aim to build visual analysis skills, so lessons 1 and 4, we might deploy the module on our site that allows for IIIF deep zoom experiences and allow the viewer to get up close with high-res images of an artwork to notice elements of a painting that might have otherwise gone overlooked in person. We have also explored the possibility of using and integrating Kojap's slow-looking tool that uses a IIIF image and its manifest to create a deep and slow inch-by-inch examination of a painting into the suite of pedagogical tools we employ for close visual analysis of artworks. We are also exploring developing other pedagogical digital tools for online learning to enhance the delivery of academic and public programs at Agnes, such as an online space for students and faculty to curate collections of objects from the permanent collection based on popular themes and subjects that can supplement learning, and an ability to offer different levels of access to digital programs depending on audience and program. For example, the Art of Observation is usually a paid program with the medical schools, so the delivery of that online program may or may not be public or private, depending on how that rolls out. And then we're also exploring third-party tools for online pedagogy. And then we also have the collections highlight template, which also creates a singular focus looking at an artwork with multimedia tools.
So when we deliver the program in the winter semester, we will use a hybrid approach to teaching. The art making classes will happen over Zoom with pre-distributed art kits. This is because with physical distancing, capacity in our art studio is now so limited. This will give us a chance to evaluate the digital learning format and continue to mold the program for the future. The Art of Observation sessions will be divided up into an online component using the online exhibition template and an in-person session. The online format will prioritize the artworks, perhaps grouping them into thematic sections with pre-recorded videos, texts, and an online activity followed by small group in-person sessions with 8 students per group. The online component of the sessions will focus on background information, observation training, and other skills like that. And the in-person sessions will be a chance for students to practice their skills and hear other students' viewpoints. We will post this using our online exhibition template, so we can have a visually rich interface with lots of components and can make direct references to objects from our online database. The in-person sessions will be much shorter than before and will allow the students to look at art up close in small groups. The in-person, online-only, and hybrid experiences with the art of observation will allow us to reconsider our approach to this kind of partnership moving forward. The hybrid approach allows for a scalable program as we move from a pilot to considering it on a larger scale, and it offers us a model for partnerships with other faculties moving forward. It has also provided us with valuable experience with different models of online learning, moving into our planned closure for an upcoming building renovation. We will also learn from this program and its hybrid delivery to inform future projects at Agnes. When we proposed the panel to MCN earlier this year, we were hoping that we would have already offered the hybrid delivery of the art of observation, but due to logistics around COVID-19 and technical developmental delays, we were unable to do so just yet. As we record this session in October, one of our biggest takeaways from thinking through and developing a plan for the hybrid delivery of the program and from the whole experience is that we are looking at how we use and how we think about spaces differently. And we are seeing interesting ways of meshing virtual and physical spaces for future programs, like residencies, experimental hybrid thought spaces for programming, and overall, initiating new ways of working across all departments at the museum. And we're still learning. Thank you so much for having us at MCN this year and for listening to our presentation. And we look forward to discussing this topic further and answering your questions at our live Q&A session on Tuesday, 17th of November at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.